Great day, everyone. This is Jason Santos, and for today, we are going to open the discussion of entrepreneurship. This is one of the core subjects for senior high school program and can be taught to ABM, STEM, gas fumes, other types of tracks. So let's get started. So first and foremost, let me just assure you that the topics that we will be covering are based from the MELCS or yung tinatawag natin na most essential learning competencies for grades 11 and 12. And here, for the first quarter, we can see that the topics that will be covered will be exploring job opportunities for entrepreneurship as a career and discussing the relevance of this course. So let's open the discussion with this topic, the significance of entrepreneurship. And as I always do my discussions, I'd like to have a quote before I start. So this is from Edgar Injapsha. You may know him as the former owner of Mang Inasal. So alam naman natin lahat what Mang Inasal is, one of the biggest food chains in the Philippines, later on acquired by Jollibee. So he was the former CEO and owner of that. And now his business is Double Dragon Properties. And according to him, in whatever you choose to do, pursue it with intense passion and make sure it is able to uplift the lives of others. So this is a very beautiful quote, and you will see the relevance of this in our topic later for entrepreneurship. Especially, I would like to underscore this, yung uplifting the lives of others, because this is one of the core functions and important effects of entrepreneurship. So here in the next slide, you can actually see poverty. Poverty indicated in many pictures, slum areas in Metro Manila, people who don't have homes, who are filled with trash in their surroundings, the congested situation, no, for most of our Filipino kababayans. Okay, so this is the sad truth and sad reality of our nation, and the reason why we are discussing this is we will understand or kailangan nating malaman ano ba yung magiging epekto if we would have better entrepreneurship opportunities for our country. So here are some poverty indicators justifying the current state of Philippines, which is categorized as poverty to extreme poverty. So 16.6% of Filipino population are living below the national poverty line as of 2018. We still don't have data for 2019 to 2020. 2.7% of employed people are just earning $1.9 a day, or if you would translate that to pesos, that's less than 100. So nakakalungkot, napakaliit na amount. And then unemployment rate is 2.2 as of 2019. It actually went low as compared to previous years. However, we are expecting it to rise again for the year 2020 because of the pandemic situation. And 28 out of 1,000 live births are under the age of 5 mortality rate, meaning bago sila makarating ng 5 years old, malaki yung chances is that they will die. And there are a lot of factors contributing to that, like overpopulation, hunger, issues with the population and all. So this was based from Asian Development Bank's data, basic statistics published in April 2020. And then on the next chart, this is from Brookings. Let me show you that we are sixth among the expected countries who will have an increase in poverty headcount. Of course, namumuna dyan yung India. You have several African countries like Nigeria, Congo, Sudan, Zimbabwe, Ethiopia, and then some Southeast Asian countries. No? Kabilang tayo doon, Philippines. And just to give you an idea how extreme poverty is, no? That translates to just 18,935 pesos per year or 52.6 pesos per day spending. So, ganun lang kalaki yung perang kaya nilang i-spend. Perhaps these families or people don't have stable jobs, were displaced, no? So, I hope you can imagine how difficult it is to be in that situation. Paano ka mabubuhay sa halagang 52 pesos in a day, especially if you have families to feed. So, that's the sad state of our country. And there are still 2.1 billion people and 767 million are living in extreme poverty. And yung locations, kagaya nga na nabanggit ko kanina, it would be in India, Southeast Asia, Sub-Saharan Africa. Yun yung mga areas na talagang mataas yung extreme poverty cases. For Africa, there's no question, or actually hindi na siya surprising because that has been the state of Africa for many years. Now, the economic growth performance of the Philippines has been relatively slow, mabagal, highly erratic, hindi siya stable, It's subject to erratic change, pabago-bago. There are spurts of growth that have been typically followed by bust and stagnation. So, tataas siya saglit and then it'll become stagnant. So, parang hihinto siya, no? It hits a plateau. Now, its more recent economic growth, while appearing respectable in aggregate, has been characterized as narrow, shallow, and hollow. So, yun yung characteristics of our growth, which is, again, a little bit sad because when you say narrow, makitid, shallow, mababa, and hollow, walang laman, So, ganun yung characterization of our economic growth. So, that is according to Abito and Aldaba et al. In their research published in 2005, characterizing the country's growth. And there are actually critical development constraints that we need to focus on, So, ano-ano ba yung mga yon? First, tight public fiscal situation. So, we're living in a very limited budget. In fact, the country has been borrowing money, particularly during the time of pandemic, and we have reached trillions in terms of debt. Trillion na po yung utang ng Philippines. And that's what you are seeing in a country's scale is actually a picture of what's happening in the grassroots, what's happening at household level. So, majority of the families here in the Philippines are, yun nga, nangungutang, lacks budget. So, yun yung reflection of what's happening at a larger scale. And then number two, inadequate infrastructure, particularly in electricity and transport. So, that has been a problem for our country. When there's a monopoly, particularly in the electricity supply, there's no competition. And we all know that competition is good in any type of industry because it keeps everyone up to their toes. Mas nag-improve yung services if there are competitions. And transportation system. So here in the Philippines, you can see that there are three railway lines, but the tracks are different. Hindi siya compatible. Hindi magkakasing laki ng tracks yung LRT and MRT. Whereas if you would compare that to other countries, isa lang yung track line nila. No? It's unified. Like for example, Japan. So, uniform yung kanilang train system. So that's the problem, kasi you can't connect the transport system. And yung roads, in fact, if we're going to talk about transport, yung kalsada natin, it's very congested, napakasikip. It has not been modified for the past, 20 to 25 years already. So that's the problem. So, apart from that, weak investor confidence due to governance concerns. So, yan yung mga issues in the country. Shying investors away. Ayaw nila mag-invest because they have concerns or issues. Market failures leading to small and narrow industrial base. So, some failures in the market limits the amount of industries wherein we could form a base, or we could start growing more and more opportunities dahil nga maraming nag-close down the businesses or market failures. And then the country is of course known for its vulnerability to risk, disaster, and climate change. So alam naman natin, in the Philippines, madalas yung bagyo, lindol. No, we have this the big one na fault line, which is nakakatakot if you would think of it, no? And just to quickly tell you, if you would compare our country to Japan, no, they are also prone to risks and disasters, but they have very strong infrastructures. That's why if you would watch videos, no, yung mga buildings sa Japan, kahit na magkaroon ng lindol, nagsusway lang yung buildings, hindi siya talaga gumuguho. It's because they have a very strong infrastructure system. And yun yung ilan sa mga problems natin. Kapag nagkaroon ng bagyo, nasasalan tayo yung mga halaman natin, yung mga tanim natin, and we don't have sufficient technology to ensure the safety of our agriculture. So yun yung mga nakakalungkot na facts about the country. So, yan, we have weak inter-linkages between SMMEs and large corporations, meaning there's a huge gap between yung small businesses and large businesses. Yung mga large businesses natin, they're very rich, yung owners and executives. But those who are starting, wala silang way to reach out and ask help from large corporations where there should be. And then despite OFW inflows, yung mga remittances from abroad worth 21 billion, it does not significantly move the economy in a way where downstream and upstream industries reverberate. So, kulang pa rin. Although, hindi dapat yun yung maging basis natin, yung OFW remittances. Kasi, to tell you honestly, hindi siya yung ideal for family setup. Lalo na yung aalis yung parents, iiwan yung family members here to work abroad. But, again, that has been our state. Yun na yung naging norm for the Philippines. For some people na walang opportunities dito to go abroad. And that tells a problem. Kasi again, walang opportunities dito. If there are, why would they have to go elsewhere, right? So, same problems, weak infrastructure, lack of institutional development, absence of rule of law, high cost of doing business due to red tape, corruption, inefficient administrative, judicial, and legislative process. So, all of those things na contribute to the issues in our development, okay? Now, why am I saying all of this? Now, I have already shown you data with regards to the poverty in the Philippines. Now, to link that with our subject, which is entrepreneurship, entrepreneurship is actually a cure or what you could say as a medicine for poverty. It may not yet end poverty, but it can help um, eliminate or lessen poverty. No? And that's what we are after. No? Kaya it's better if we would promote entrepreneurship in the country. Many researchers have already proven it. Articles and business news have already shown proof of successful entrepreneurships um, helping ease the poverty. So yun yung maganda no, with entrepreneurship. Makakatulong siyang bawasan yung poverty ng bansa natin. Kaya dapat natin siyang i-promote. So, if we would promote entrepreneurship, no, ano ba yung magiging tulong niya sa poverty state ng country? It would generate more jobs, incomes, goods, and services. Of course, kapag mas maraming entrepreneurs, mas maraming employers than employees, mas marami ang trabaho na may offer, mas maraming income, mas maraming taxation, okay, mas maraming goods and services. We can all even export those goods and services. It can reduce poverty and improve the quality of life, no? And contribute to more equitable distribution of wealth. So yan yung problem, the distribution of wealth. So there's wealth, but it belongs to only 1%, no, or a very few percentage of people in the country. Okay? And it would prevent social unrest. Of course, kapag mas maraming mayayaman na tao sa bansa, mas lesser yung incidence of crimes. There are lesser instances of social unrest. And that is actually true. No? Just to relate my experience going to Australia, it's not common for them to experience crimes like patayan, rape, nakawan. No, it's not common. You can actually look at their houses. Wala silang mga gates. No? Wala kang makikita barbed wires, yung mga shattered glasses, o di kaya yung mga pointed gates, CCTV, etc. Why? Kasi again, hindi common sa kanila yung may magnanakaw eh. Or hindi common sa kanila yung may pumapatay ng tao. Right? So, because they're a wealthy country, mayaman sila eh. They don't have to think of it. Or hindi nila naiisip gawin yun. No? Increase tax collection, of course. Ito yung aim ng country natin eh. Aim of most countries, which is to generate more income. You can actually relate to this. Marami ang mga products and services ngayon in the Philippines that are planned to be taxed. Like for example, last time Netflix, they're planning to tax next Netflix. And that's because again, kulang tayo ng income na na-generate. So you can't blame the government if they would do that, right? So those are some of the things that in which entrepreneurship can help eliminate or help lessen poverty. No? So this is also based from Magna Carta for Small Enterprises or RA 9 number 6977. And any business activity, enterprise engaged in industry, agribusiness, services, whether single proprietor, cooperative, partnership, corporation, whose total assets are inclusive of those arising from a loan, but exclusive of the land on which the business is situated under the following capitalization. So there are different categories or types of entrepreneurs, and it depends on their capitalization. Like for example, micro is less than 50. Ayun, what you would see as yung mga maliit na sari-sari store, maliit na food cart, so on and so forth. You have cottage, that's between 50,000 to 500,000. You have small, which is 500,000 to 5 million, and medium enterprise, which are between 5 million to 20 million capitalization. Okay? Now, to cap up or almost finish the discussion, We have already seen the problems in the Philippines, which is poverty to extreme poverty. We already know that last year we've been hit by a pandemic and we're just on the process of recovering. So we have to build this culture of entrepreneurship. Kailangan talaga natin to ma-establish. And how are we able to do that? We need to ask ourselves these questions. Are schools teaching entrepreneurship? Yes, tinuturo naman siya, no? And the good thing now is that it's being taught as well to K to 12. Back then, it's just in college, right? So ngayon, as early as high school, they are already familiar with the concept of entrepreneurism. Does the social media, TV, radio promote entrepreneurs as if they were influencers? Ito, personally, I think this is an area we could still work on, no? Kasi most of the time what we see in social media are influencers, but they are not, which are not entrepreneurs, and sometimes they become influencers because of their bad behaviors or silly behaviors, no, just to get them to go viral. Okay, wherein mas maganda kung bibigyan natin ng emphasis yung mga successful businesses, successful teenagers who have um, built their business, no, from their own money, capital they have raised. So what programs do banks or financial institutions have to support MSMEs? What programs do banks or financial institutions? Is there a support between the MSMEs and these financial institutions? Like, are the banks giving them capitalization or money? No? So those are the things that we have to ask. Dapat meron talagang support system. Are students and graduates aspiring to become entrepreneurs? This is a huge question, and something we could ponder on, because when you talk of entrepreneurs, when you talk of entrepreneurship, sometimes students, they are not keen into becoming one. If you meron mag-aaral entrepreneurship, but when they graduate, magiging empleyado. Though again, there's nothing wrong with being an employee. But sayang kasi ang pinag-aralan na entrepreneurship and they are not taking advantage of it, or they are not fully realizing what they ought to be as professionals, right? And ito, just to elaborate, last time when we had issues with the pandemic, we saw what happened. No? There are, just to give an example, flight attendants nawalan ng trabaho. And that's just one industry. Napakadaming industries ang tumigil. Right? So what happened to them? They went homes, They sold things, no? Nagba-buy and sell na rin sila. Okay? You can't blame them kasi they have to make means to live, no? Like for example, this story went viral, the story of Lori May Parungaw. Okay? Wherein she was a former flight attendant, and then when it hit her profession, yung airline industry, no? Hindi na sila nakaka-travel. Wala siyang trabaho. So what did she do? Nagbebenta siya, and hindi daw niya kinahihiya yun, nagtitinda siya ng fishball. You see, that's a form of entrepreneurship. Isa yung uri ng entrepreneurship. It may seem parang kung yung ibang tao isipin nila nakakahiya yun, but the reality is that when push comes to shove, kailangan nating kumita no? Kailangan nating gumanap ng paraan. And if you have ideas, if you think you are able to sell things, then why not? No? Wala namang masama doon. Okay? And in fact, there's this subject. There are courses about entrepreneurism. Yung mga nakikita natin businesses ngayon, like Bill Gates, from Mark Zuckerberg, they are all born out of entrepreneurism. So, dapat talaga, it is high time for us to really explore and build a culture of entrepreneurship. All right, that wraps our very short discussion. I hope you've learned something from this video. For more videos like this, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and you can catch me on all the social media platforms here. Thank you so much, and to God be all the glory. See you on the next video.